you were born in Nigeria. You know, you're
Exactly.
half Swiss, you're half Ghanaian. There's a lot going on here. So break it down. So break it down for me. How long did you spend in Nigeria?
So I was born in Nigeria, like you said, in Lagos. I lived there till I was the age of 6. Then we
Okay.
had to move from Nigeria to Switzerland because my dad had a big car accident in Nigeria. It
Oh,
had to be
wow.
sorted out in Switzerland. Yeah. So that's how everything started. I know it's always funny for people to hear like half Swiss, half Ghanaian, but lived or was born in Nigeria. It makes all no sense for many people, but I think it's the fun part of it too.
Yeah. So how would you describe your upbringing? What was it like, you know, growing up in Nigeria and then moving over to Switzerland? What was the transition like?
I mean, the good thing is I was pretty young, but it was still like you still felt the difference because living and growing up in Nigeria in an African country, it's so much different than like in a European country or like a well-organized country like Switzerland, where everything has its own structure. Where if you've been to Nigeria or Ghana, you know it's a little bit chaotic and everything is a little bit more free will there. So I think it was a major change just because of like when we moved to Switzerland, it was at the beginning only me and my older brother because my dad was in
Okay.
hospital and my mom had to get everything sorted out in Nigeria. So it's only me and him. And yeah, it was just way too different for me to maybe cope at the beginning. So it was good to have my older brother like guiding me through everything.
Nice one, man. So when did your love for wrestling come in? Because I know that in Nigeria they have a big wrestling fan base, and obviously in Europe, wrestling is massive. It's always been massive. So when did you fall in love with wrestling? When did you start watching it?
From the maybe from the get-go, I don't know, because like I have I have 4 older brothers, but like my 2 nearest older brother, they loved wrestling. So those two were the ones who actually showed me wrestling and everything from WWE and WCW that time. And also the video games. We had it all. So when I was there, like when I was younger, they always used to watch me wrestling. And I always used to assume like instead of taking care of me and maybe looking after me, they were like, okay, just watch wrestling with us. And that'll make our job way easier.
What would you say is some of the hardest challenges you faced, you know, growing up in the wrestling industry? Obviously, we know that wrestling is massive over in the USA, but over you know, in Europe, I reckon that, you know, some of the wrestlers will go through a lot more challenges than some of the
Yeah.
guys did over in the US. So what would you say some of the hardest things have been for you in your career?
I would say to get the recognition or the acknowledgement of being good in this job, you know, especially like if you come from Europe, and even worse if you come from Switzerland, but such a small country and not really a wrestling country. Like there's one small scene and you just get looked over because you just think about, yeah, Switzerland, who can wrestle there? And I think that's maybe the hardest part, was like going out there, trying to get your foot in different companies and just letting everybody know, okay, this guy can go. So when I started off, it was in Switzerland, and they were like a little bit skeptical because when I started, I was 15. So they were like holding back a little bit. They didn't know, does it make sense, or is it even necessary, or should we just push our own guys? So it started off in Switzerland. So when I got the recognition there, I was like, okay, the next step has to be other different European countries, namely Germany, because Germany has a bigger scene and a way more open scene. So that's when was the next thing, like get your name there and just trying to get like somehow yourself into the business and letting people forget the fact that you come from Switzerland and the scene is small.